Feel free to raise your hand if you have any questions. Yes, front row.
How do you go about researching something like that? Do you have a background in genetics or anything like that, or just ideas pop in your head, or
I have no background in genetics. For this film in particular, I kind of had a specific idea of. At first, I wanted to write something that was kind of like a chamber drama of just kind of being stuck in the middle of nowhere, and this guy would break into the house and interrogate this other guy. And I knew they were going to debate about something, and I knew it was something that the guy inside of the house had done. And so I needed to come up with what that was. And at a certain point, I kind of came up with the idea of the company, of the Perfect 46. And I became so interested in that subject that the film just kind of grew more and more. And because I wasn't working from a specific outline, really, the film was able to grow. And so I would write, like a little bit, and then I'd have to stop and research and like read a book, and then kind of fill in those blanks, and then kind of continue that way throughout the entire process to make sure everything. And also, at a certain point, it was important to me that it was realistic, so that also involved more research to make sure that, could what happens in the film actually happen, and is everything they're saying correct?
Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, it is a pleasure to be here today to discuss the recent scientific advances in genetics that will lead to improved health and the prevention of many devastating diseases. Excuse me. When I started this company 6 months ago, I couldn't have anticipated being here today. To catch the attention of this committee is both a great honor and a shock. We've set out to make the best, most affordable opportunity for everyone to have the healthiest children possible. And while this does result in a small percentage of our users being told they are not ideal matches, it does not keep the couple from having children should they wish to do so. Use of the service is voluntary. The algorithm we use is proprietary and must remain a secret for competitive reasons.
World of genetics is that it becomes a kind of new age determinism, and all the environmental factors that go into affecting how genes are expressed gets completely ignored in popular culture and to some degree in science itself. And that bothers me a great deal, and I'm wondering to what degree could we even, let's assume that nothing even went wrong in the way you depicted in the film, to what degree can we even rely on that type of matching to prevent either the diseases that you're attempting to prevent, or prevent other diseases that are not even considering could possibly happen by matching these kinds of those together?
If I'm understanding what you're saying, I mean, and I think I am. Correct me though if I'm wrong. The idea kind of behind the company is that over generations, let's say over 500 years, you would see these disorders and defects, their rates going down. Now, yes, there would be environmental, and we mentioned like epigenetic changes in certain people over time. But if we start at trying to kind of weed those things out in the beginning, statistically over time, it should go down. So I'm not sure if I'm answering what you asked, but
I was asking about the reliability of that, whether or not it would even the benefits that you might get from it, whether or not you would simply have other things arising, other problems arising, even in addition to the kind of thing you're talking about, which is an algorithmic problem. Because to me, I'm just bothered by the whole deterministic element of the way we view genes. I don't know if I'm asking a question.
That's not a question. But it's your opinion.
I'm just expressing what got me. That's where my mind sort of went when I watched this.
Anyone with a question? Yes.
If this service was available, would you utilize it?
Would you?
I probably wouldn't. I don't want children anyway, so it wouldn't affect me either way.
So no.
And you?
For your
Would you?
Are you not asking a question?
Would I? Yes, I would.
How would you do it?
Okay.
I would use it because I've seen, I've had a parent that can't.
Yes.
Just the movie supposed to be set in the future? And was it a difficult decision for you to use VHS technology?
Yes, it is set in the future. No, I always wanted to use VHS for a few reasons. One is a design choice. When we're in kind of the background in the company and stuff, when Jesse's living in his house with his wife and everything, we tried to kind of have just this kind of bare minimalism look to it. And as he kind of retreats into the woods, we kind of show older technology, and another thing I wanted to show, was like, let's say this film takes place 5 years from now, and let's say there are like 4K TVs everywhere, everyone else's TV is not going to disappear. It's like you see so many films that take place in the future, where everything, it takes place in 2019 and everything is from the year 2019, so I mean, there are still, people who dedicate their lives to VHS. You'll find many of them in LA. So it still exists, but also, to kind of show that Jesse is watching this obsessively, VHS has a texture to it in a way that if I was showing him watch a DVD, I don't know how I'd really show that visually. So there was a visual element behind that decision as well.
Brett.
Yes.
I really enjoyed your film. It was really good. And I had a personal reaction to it too, because my oldest son, who's 37 now, my wife and I actually had an amniocentesis. I'm sorry, my second son, who's 33, had an amniocentesis, which tests for Down syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
So even way back then, in a way, we were taking a look and deciding whether we would want to have somebody with Down syndrome. I don't know if they even do that test much anymore.
They do it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. More
Okay.
than ever. Yeah.
So in one way, that's sort of, it turned out son was fine, so we didn't have to make that decision.
Any other questions? Yes?
You said you worked basically off of an outline, I heard earlier?
Oh, no, I said that there was no outline.
There was no outline.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So does that mean there was no script? Or there was a script?
Oh, no, there was a full script. It was just in the process of writing, like I would write a scene that took place far later in the film just because I, had that idea. And then, as I would kind of expand the idea of the company, I might write a scene about the company and then try to, just kind of see where that fits in. And the way that, we're kind of going between the three stories within the film and Jesse, and with Jesse, hopefully it creates this nice kind of like collage where you're seeing kind of glimpses and being able to kind of fill in the blanks for yourself of, what's kind of happening in between, with the company and with his wife and, what's happening later on in terms of the documentary and when that takes place.
It was all so fast. Almost immediately, you heard whispers of valuations that were borderline obscene. The up and the down, and what they did to Jesse wasn't right. What he was doing was revolutionary.
Right. Well, I mean, we kind of changed the whole rules of the game. We went into a nascent market, and we came in really strong.
Guns a-blazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll look at the founder and CEO of ThePerfect46.com, Jesse Darden, when we come back.
Obviously, this is pretty provocative material, and it resides in the gray area, sort of ethics and what's right and what's wrong. As you're writing, do you ever get nervous about people's reactions to it, or like what they'll ask in a Q&A, or how far they'll push you?
No. While writing, I've never thought about that.
Good.
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask how long it took you to write the script, like from conception to.
This took like 10 months, I think, to write. And it was mostly because I'm a slow reader. So when I would stop to read a book, it would take a while. And I kind of started it at a certain point and then kind of put it down for a while. And then I met with the lead actor that's in the film and talked to him about it and whether or not he kind of wanted to do it. And he showed good enthusiasm for it. And that kind of helped get the writing process moving. In a way that if it was just me sitting there, I don't know if it would have moved forward. And it still moved forward slowly. Jury duty put me out for a few weeks at one point late in the writing process. So, a lot of different factors. But yeah, about 10 months.
Jesse's
Was that your hand up? Okay, that was, okay.
Jesse's character, you obviously afflicted him with a particular disability, sterility, and I guess the obsessive compulsive. I didn't really see like much. There's the bit about that, but
I don't know if there was more to your question.
But I was going to ask what other like disabilities have you considered, ascribing to him?
To Jesse specifically?
Yeah.
Well, the OCD thing is meant to be kind of about elements of control within his life. That he has this company, he has his wife, and then he loses kind of both of those things. What does he have around him? What can he control? And that's, the OCD kind of comes out a little bit out of that. In terms of his being sterile, I think that's almost purely for... It's one of those things of like, when you're being tested, based on your genome like that, what would be this interesting thing that could still afflict someone that isn't being tested for, and in a way is like the ultimate irony that it would happen to him, of all people, someone who is trying to really kind of change the world in his own way.
What other conditions did you entertain?
I don't know if there ever was any other condition, and even, the babies that are born with Tay-Sachs and stuff, it was always Tay-Sachs from the beginning. Mostly, I think, because it is. I don't know how many people are aware of what Tay-Sachs is, just off the board or whatever. But there are some genetic disorders that are very, very hard to pronounce, very, very long-winded names that I could have picked that were even probably more rare and would have taken more of an explanation. So in a way, I picked Tay-Sachs because some people are aware of it. You know what I mean? And it creates a little bit more of a shorthand, depending upon the audience.
It's just that Jesse didn't seem to me to be a particularly paternal figure. I know he obviously was sensitive that he wanted his wife to have a child, but it didn't seem like him not being able to have children of his own seemed like something that bothered him as much as it.
That's true. I mean, it brings an end to his relationship, but I don't know that it really bothers him. Or that it's meant
because
to.
Because I sort of viewed it as the prime motivation on his part and for wanting to provide this kind of genetic service for people. But that was wrong.
No, well, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion.
I was just trying to read what his.
No, that wasn't the driving force.
Okay.
I don't think I never really spell out exactly what is the driving force or how he came to create the company. That's something that's kind of left kind of up to you. And in a way, I feel like that story it has been covered a little bit, by something like The Social Network or Pirates of Silicon Valley or something. You can watch that and see, starting a company like that, But I wanted to kind of fuse that story with biotechnology and kind of explore some different questions relating to that.
Brett?
Yeah.
Doesn't the Scientific American or is it National Geographic have some tests that you could do on what you have? I'm trying to remember. On your own genome for $99 or something?
Well, I mean, there's 23andMe. There is something though that I think National Geographic or it's through National Geographic and Ancestry.com they do is that maybe what you're referring to?
Ancestry.com. But all they do is tell you origin.
Mm-hmm, right.
Whether you're Spanish or Irish American.
No, this is a genetic test.
Yeah, there's something on the market.
Isn't there, Michael, isn't there some?
I don't know what they're called, but there are things.
Well, 23andMe was around, until November of last. I mean, they're still around, but now they're strictly ancestry and not health related. But that was something that I had done 23andMe in 2008, part of the idea, I guess, of this film comes from a feature that they had where you could take, a few people that you were like friends with, that you had their information, and see if you had a child with them, what eye color, is statistically probable. And, what if you took that so much further? And that was kind of, the beginnings of the idea of the company within the film.
Okay. All right. Now, as we continue to grow, it's important to be looking forward. We're going to be one of the first to be offering a service like this, but we're hardly going to be the last. There's going to be a lot creeping up right after us.
Jesse allowed a documentary crew unprecedented access to the early days of the company after the Super Bowl ad. The footage has never been shown before.
I'm just worried about what will keep us standing out, what's going to keep us fresh moving forward.
More important than building a product, we're architecting a company that's hopefully going to be much more incredible than the sum of its parts. So I actually think it's the company, us, that's going to keep it fresh.
Yeah, and being challenged in this way, we have to look and we have to say, well, is Down syndrome natural? Is something like diabetes natural?
Yeah. What is the perception of natural? I don't know. I mean, people are going to be looking at us the same way they looked at in vitro. We don't know what they're going to do with the information, what they might share, not share.
Yeah, but if we had decided that polio was natural.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How many cuts of this movie did you go through before you got to the final cut, to the final version of it?
Very few. I think 5. Yeah, it was pretty quick. I mean, this pretty much matches the screenplay that was written. Maybe about 3 minutes was cut, just little odds and ends, and just kind of quickening the pace.
Did your main actor improvise a lot?
No, not really. Not particularly.
As written?
It's pretty much as written. Yeah.
Did you bring it in under budget, and what was it?
The budget was under $200,000, and what was it? Did I bring it in under budget? No.
I'd like to comment. I really liked you said you started with that idea of the confrontation in the house later.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best part.
Oh, thank you.
Of the movie, because it sort of dragged early on, and where is this going? Because we've had other movies about genetic manipulation, such as Gattaca, and I'm sure there have been others.
I think we might just be Gattaca.
Okay.
It's really,
but I thought there might be.
We screened this film at the Consumer Genetics Conference in September, where we showed like a kind of a work in progress at it, and this is a little bit shorter and has music and color correction and stuff. And by far, the only thing that was mentioned to me was the film Gattaca. Like, so many people were like, "This isn't like Gattaca, thank you." They really just don't enjoy Gattaca. They don't like kind of the world building, I guess, within it. And I mean, when you examine, I mean, like, I like a lot of things in Gattaca, but like when you kind of examine that world, it's strange because it's just the city, and you don't really see anything outside of that, and the world doesn't necessarily make sense. There are a lot of leaps you have to take to kind of just accept the situation that Ethan Hawke finds himself in. Yeah.
You kind of touched on it a little bit, but hinted at it, but do you have any plans to write a movie about science fraud explicitly? Because that could have happened here at some level, and it's sort of something with lots of drama and a lot of importance in our lives, and science is important.
I'm thinking of it now. No, nothing. Nothing planned right now. No, I have a few ideas that I'd like to kind of write and then try to make, but as of right now, no.
Any questions? Was there any other material you wanted to include in there but couldn't because of time constraints or any other kind of?
That's good. All right. Yeah. So okay. Yeah. Yeah. At one point, I was gonna have like maybe like a talk radio character, who was gonna be like very anti Jesse Darden and have like, at one point I think we were gonna show like protesters or something, trying to show a little bit more of like the outside world. And for budget reasons and I think time reasons, we had to lose some of those aspects. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that we lost. I don't know. That's actually the big thing that I remember kind of cutting, was that I think actually there was another character, I can't remember what her name was going to be, but it was an element that I took out early on, that she was trying to like use the service to like organize people in a way that was like racially driven or something, and that was kind of cut. And I hinted a little bit, I think, in the conference scene where he's asked about that. But I think she was actually going to be in the documentary at one point.
Right.
Yeah.
I found that algorithm thing really interesting in there. How did you come up with that? And because we know that algorithms are used so much in computer websites, etc.
Well, I needed to come up with, something to cause something to go wrong, and I didn't really want to explicitly make it really anything, I guess, but to have a human be behind that. You know what I mean? I didn't want to explicitly say that, and I didn't want to say exactly what it was. I wanted just something to go wrong, and then to kind of leave more of a question with the audience as to what exactly had happened, and and to also think of all the other things that could have happened.
And it leaves it open whether it's manipulated or just not.
Right.
Random chance.
Mm-hmm.
A couple more questions? Anybody? Well, Brett, where do you go next?
With the film. Let's see. I was probably home. We're screening in New York again in 3 weeks, and then in late July we'll be screening in Cape Cod at the Woods Hole Film Festival, and then at some point in the fall or August, September, we'll be screening at Stanford for their genetics department. There's going to be like a panel of genetics people and me. So there we go. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah.
Very good. Well, thanks a lot.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Thanks.